Hey guys, welcome to another episode of LFH Chop Shop. I bought another Corolla. Why am I like this? So the Corolla's about to rock up on an unregistered vehicle permit, and this is Victorian regoed, so I can't drive it in Australia yet, but it also has some frame damage, so I'll go into details later, but here it is. Looks really good on this side and really crap on the other side, so don't get too excited. Looks really good on this side. So here it is, the new K70. So this is just getting out of hand now. I got the K30 over there, the K70 here, another K70 there, and a K55. So I'm avoiding this because it needs to do bog and paint work, and it's a really boring job by yourself. So I want someone to come around and we can like transform it in one day. So I'll get to that eventually. This thing, I got it fired up and it runs like shit. So it smokes and it doesn't really drive very well. So it needs a new engine, or I'll try and sell it. So I tried to sell it. No luck there, so I was trying to find a new engine, and now we're here. So this looks really good, but there's rust here. There's a little bit of rust in the corner, but the back is actually really good. That tail light's broken. There is an awful lot of rust there, and this side's a different colour, and the B pillar is absolutely mangled. So this shell's pretty good for about nothing. Scrap it, or someone with a drift car or something would maybe want it. So the shell, try and sell that for a couple $100. So it is a flat front with quad lights, so that's actually worth a little bit of money. And it's got the D-shaped steelies, which everyone loves, but I'm not a huge fan of them, but good sizes, so there's that. And then the main reason for this is the engine gearbox. So this is a manual. So it's got a good engine in it with SU carbies. It's been dynoed and tuned, and the SUs have been rebuilt. It's got a manual gearbox, manual tail shaft, manual pedals, and everything to swap that one to manual, and then also change the engine over at the same time. So the plan is to do that. So pull this one apart, pull all the good bits, all the running gear out of it, pull the wheels off of it, and put all that into the white one, and then part out whatever's left over. So there's a bit of a weird setup with this Corolla. So this apron here, the white section, is actually fiberglass, but it's the correct one for the quad light conversion. So there is a metal one over there, which is a normal flat front one, which has been cut and modified to suit the quad lights, but it's metal and white, and this one's fiberglass and white. So either way, I don't need it, but it's there. We've got a good radiator, which has a lot of fins, which the other one doesn't. We've got a thermo fan and a manual fan, which is a good setup just in case. We got the twin SUs and a couple of custom linkages and some fuel lines and stuff. So he said that they're getting too much fuel at the moment, so we need to put a fuel reg in there somehow, or just restrict the fuel line a little bit. So I'll try and do that later on. We got the manual cable, which I need that cup for the auto, for this car over here. And then other than that, I'll be taking the gearbox, this whole engine, just drop the whole lot out the bottom, and then put it into the other car. So next, moving back a little bit, apparently this has A86 struts in it, which if it does, that's a massive bonus. The struts are $250, the brakes a couple $100 I guess, and the hubs are probably $250 as well. And then you've got steering arms on top, so if it does actually have 86 stuff in the front, which I'm not convinced, but if it does, there's probably like $800 worth of stuff there. Well, if you wanted to sell it at whole and quickly, you get, $500-600 for it, so that's a good start. But I'm not counting on it because who knows. Other than that, I'm going to keep the wheels, put them on the other K70, and maybe a few trims and a few bits of the interior. But the flat front and the whole conversion is going to be for sale, and the shell is going to be for sale. So if you want that, hit me up. If not, I'll scrap it if no one wants it. So this is apparently an A82 seat that's had the headrest removed and then been retrimmed, so it's a bit strange. There's another one in the boot, so it's kind of loosely bolted in here and it was a bit sketchy, but it's in here. We've got an aftermarket steering wheel with another Boss kit, so that's 3 for 3, I think. A stupidly long manual shifter, which I'll cut down and fix later. We got a custom gauge cluster, which is not going to focus, which is helpful. We got a custom gauge cluster that the bloke that I got the car from, he made in Photoshop, so I think it's just a sticker, but whatever. We got the dark blue interior instead of the light blue. We got all the radio, all the knobs, all the bits and pieces. So it is reasonably complete other than the seats. It's got all the door cards. It's got a gross back seat. That's the front bumper. And there's a few bits missing off this door trim, but a lot of it is there. As you can see. So coming around to the back, we've got a broken tail light and a good tail light. No rear bumper, which is a bit of a bummer. We've got a 2.5 to 3 inch exhaust, I think he said. There is actually extractors in the front, so it sounds reasonable, but it's quite loud. We've got the other A82 seat, and someone really cared about this because there's been a lot of work on the inside, and obviously the paint job. And then, like I said on the last K70, this section here always rusts out, but this one's actually really good. There's a tiny little bit here, and that's it. There's nothing under the back here. And there's a tiny little bit here, a few little spots along the line, but it's so good, and even behind it's all smooth, so I don't even think it's been repaired. And then it's also got a mint one piece, like continuous loop piece boot trim, so someone spent a fair bit of money on this thing trying to get it to be nice, which makes me assume that these are probably the eBay tail lights, but I'm not sure. But yeah, this side looks really good. So these are the spares that came with the car. So we've got an A82 back seat, the top and the bottom of the back seat, the front steel flat front support apron thing, the front bumper brackets, one seat rail there, there's another one in the boot I think. Then we got the other bucket seat that's in there, and the matching one on there. So this thing's a bit filthy, but it's all there. Well, everything I need is there, and I should be able to part out the rest of it reasonably easy. So the good news is I have all the parts to fix the white one. The bad news is this was $1,600, which is ridiculous. So if you asked me 2 years ago would I pay $1,500 or $1,600 for this thing, I would have said hell no, and now I've just done it, and I don't like K70s, and I've got two of the things. Yay! I'm so excited. So just taking a closer look in the engine bay with what we can keep and what we can get rid of, or what we need for the other car. So it's got a battery, that's awesome, saves me like $100. It's got a good radiator, saves me another $100. Good engine, which is say $200. Carbies are probably a couple $100. The gearbox, so if you put the engine gearbox together, you could probably get $400 for it, I guess. It's probably top dollar. And then it's got all the rack and everything, coil, all the plugs, but it's all there and it's manual. So steal that bit as well, that little cup thing I was talking about before, and pop all of that into the white one. So I assume I'm going to save about $500 with all of this stuff, because I wouldn't pay full price for the SUs. I would just got a normal carby. The 4K is a 4K, and the gearbox. So just call that $500, including the radiator and the battery and everything. And then call the front end $400, so all the panels. So there's $900 plus the wheels, so they're $300 worth. So there's 7s in the front and 8s in the back. So there are 7 0 and a 8 neg 12. So call that $300. There's $1,200 already, and then the shell, say another $300. So there's your $1,500 straight away without even trying too hard. So hopefully it's got A86 front end in it. Then I should make some money after this thing, or you know, part it out bit by bit and make a few $100 and then scrap the shell. So we'll see, but probably won't make any money on this, but I'll get all the parts I need for that one, which is a bonus, I guess. So that car owes me $800 as it sits. So if you call this the 500 and give it a rattle can and some rego, and it's like, you know, $1,500 maybe, and I can probably sell it for $2.5 to $3 grand. So hopefully by buying this, I'll make some money off of that rather than selling that and breaking even. So probably the long way around, but I seem to do that with everything. So yeah, this is the K70 for this episode. So let's have a look at the white one, and I'll put them side by side and we can see what we need to swap over. So the previous owner did a couple of custom touches. He likes making stuff and just fiddling around. Bonnet struts. to the middle of the bonnet, which is quite strange. The bonnet doesn't actually go very high, but I guess it wouldn't go any higher with the bonnet stay. So I may take that lot off of the bonnet and put it onto the slanty bonnet, just for something different, but I'll see how we go. But yeah, just something different. He also made a battery bracket, which I might use again in the slanty. Just try and use some of these cool parts off this car and swap them across. Saves me making stuff, but makes the car a bit more unique. So I'm just going to drive this in the backyard over to the white one, park it next to it, and we can put it side by side and see what we need to swap across. So I just fired it up, and you can see the water temp has a temp gauge, a oil pressure gauge, and an air fuel gauge. The air fuel gauge doesn't look like it's working, or maybe not powered up. It's got 60 pound of oil pressure, and the water temp is about 50 degrees, which is fine because it's only just started up. This shifter is ridiculous. It's so long, and I'm too short for the seating position, so that's entertaining. But it does have a thrust bearing noise, or input shaft bearing noise. Put the clutch in, it goes away. So I'll have to look at that as well when I pull the whole lot out. But it's got this plate on the ground which seals up the tunnel, so that's kind of cool. The dash is actually in really good condition, but it's the dark blue, so I might swap that all across as well if I get really excited. If not, then that's fine. But we've got the custom gauges that I was talking about, and a few weird bits and pieces. So turn the fan on. Let's drive. So I'm just going to move it, but drive around in the backyard. So apparently it's got dyno tested. It actually has 60 something horsepower, which is really quite incredible for a Corolla, but sounds pathetic. But that's Corollas for you. So let's see if I can get a bit of a loop happening. Not really. It's got an open diff, so it doesn't want to spin, but it does have some power, so at least it, you know, moves. Add it to the lineup of garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Just noticed the air fuel ratios gauge has started doing something. Who knows if it's accurate, but it's doing something. And also the exhaust note. Sure. So now I've got the two side by side. You can see this is what we call a flat front. This is what we call a slant front. So this is also a quad light front, which is flat guards and then the flat apron and the flat bonnet, but different headlights. And the reason we call it that is because it's flat, and the other one is a slant. Wow, magical. Alright, so looking at the white one, what do I want to keep off of this? I'd like to try and keep the shroud if I can, probably unlikely. I'd like to keep air conditioning. I'll get the best of that bit. I'll keep the brakes, and that's about it. Keep the battery, drop all of this out the bottom, and then put all of that stuff in it. So I'll put the leads on this, on that one, and the coil on that one, all in this car, but with the other engine, and then make the best of the two. Should be really easy. That is definitely not what I should have said, because that's going to make it really hard. So the grill's not straight, which annoys me, so I'm going to have to try and straighten that out. But other than that, this car's decent. Coming inside, I'd like to replace the dashboard, but I don't know how much work that is. And the other car has good A-pillar trims, whereas this one's smashed. The other car, I don't know if it has sun visors, but I'll try and use those as well. And other than that, that's about it. I don't really need anything else off that car. Gear knob, the radio knob would be handy, and maybe the other gauge cluster if it's accurate at all, as over this one. But who knows, we'll see. Just take a few little bits and pieces off of this one, a few little pieces off the other one, and make a good car out of the two. So I'm not sure it's going to be possible, but I would like to take the windscreen out of that one as well and put it into this one, because this one's cracked just here. And if I do that, I'll have access to the dash. So if I'm going to go whole hog, I'll take the window out, take the dash out, take the window out, take the dash out, swap that onto this car. That's just getting a bit out of hand though, so we'll see how we do it, but that's the plan. So I'll register this one, change the engine number to that one, and then this one will get parted out or sold as a rolling shell. So what I've done is I've bought another car in Melbourne, which I need to go pick up, and there's also some parts in Melbourne that I need to pick up. So I bought a car so that I can pick up the parts, which is clever, but the Lexus may be selling to a guy in Melbourne. If it does, I'll drive that over, pick up the parts, pick the new car up, sell my Lexus, and then drive back. If that doesn't happen, then I'll be stuck with the Lexus and I'll have another car, but I'll have to go through and get that inspected and get it registered. So for the meantime, assuming that the Lexus sells, the other car gets back to Adelaide, no worries, I'm going to have to drive something, and the white car is pretty much the closest when I found this. So I need to put these together and make them into one car in a week, pretty much. So I'm going to hustle. I've got too many projects on my hands now, but I've got lots of Corollas, and that's what I always wanted here at the Corolla Cavern. Getting out of hand now, so I better start work, but that'll be in the next episode.